Dragon Ball is an absolute childhood legend for a massive amount of people, but as the canon storyline expanded, there have been so many utterly overpowered dragons appearing that you could literally call them the absolute granddaddies of the Earth Dragon you guys always see. The Earth Dragon is sometimes a bit of an arrogant prick to normies, always rushing them like a massive superior and acting like he holds absolute, broken power. Meanwhile, the other 6 dragons are genuinely terrifying on a whole different level, mate. Specifically, there is one beast that literally only has 2 orbs. Let us in and do a quick power scaling analysis on these dragons that you summon with those magical orbs. Number 1 on the list is Shenron, our beloved and classic dragon. He is practically the true main character of the entire canon franchise, since both the show and the magical orbs are literally named Dragon Ball. Every time he appears, the sky turns completely pitch black as he bursts out from the glowing Dragon Balls in a form of pure energy. In his very first canon appearance he looked absolutely badass. Yet the first wish he ever granted was ridiculously silly, because Oolong wished for nothing more than a simple pair of knickers. Nobody even knows where the dragon magically got them before disappearing like he never existed after that. The drained Dragon Balls turned into useless grey stones scattered across the earth, needing a full year to recharge before they can summon him again. Rumor says Shenron lives deep inside the earth near the flowing magma, living a lonely existence with no family and no real purpose. Whenever he is summoned, he acts proud and joyful but always rushes people to make their wish quickly so he can return to that empty void. Originally his powers seemed almost limitless, but later it became clear that his abilities are restricted by the power of his creator, Kami. Back then he could only grant a single wish, and reviving someone was limited to a person who had died within 1 year. His weakness became obvious when Demon King Piccolo, with a power level of only 360, destroyed him before he could escape later. After being revived through a new guardian, Shenron returned stronger, able to grant up to 3 wishes and even revive large numbers of people at once. However, he still has many limits. He cannot revive someone who has died more than once, cannot locate objects across the entire universe, and cannot affect beings far stronger than his creator. And despite knowing the secrets of the universe, Shenron is actually quite timid, because whenever he sees Lord Beerus, sweat instantly pours down his face. The second absolute beast is Porunga, often called the Namekian Divine Dragon. In the canon of Dragon Ball Z he is basically the premium tier compared to the Earth Dragon. Unlike Shenron and his skinny little arms, this bloke is enormous and built like an absolute tank. His massive muscular arms, shredded 4-pack core, for giant horns and catfish-like barbels give him an intimidating presence, while his green skin and Namekian antennas make him look ready to one-shot anyone who dares mess with him. Despite that brutal appearance, Porunga is actually kind-hearted, highly moral, and even has a good sense of humor. That said, he is also impatient and hot-tempered. Maintaining his huge dragon form drains a lot of energy, so if someone wastes time making a wish he will simply cancel the summon and disappear. One of his most broken abilities is reviving multiple people at once, even filtering the worthy, bringing the good back to life while leaving the wicked dead. When wishes are vague, Porunga doesn't execute them blindly. He carefully analyzes the consequences. He once rejected a wish to bring back Goku's soul because he feared Goku would die permanently if his soul returned without a body. After reviving Krillin, he even went the extra mile by restoring his martial arts outfit like a premium laundry service, leaving the bald fighter perfectly ready for battle. And unlike most beings, Porunga feels no embarrassment at all, even when Bulma cheekily flirts with him. The third dragon is Ultimate Shenron, an incredibly overpowered being introduced in the canon of Dragon Ball. He was created when Piccolo fused with Kami, which altered the Dragon Balls themselves. Each orb now bears a distinctive black star at its center. The wishes granted by this dragon greatly outscale those of the Earth Dragon, and most notably, he even has the power to kill people. Unlike the normal Dragon Balls that require a 1-year cooldown, these can be used again immediately once all 7 are gathered. However, there is a brutal catch. After a wish is made, the Black Star Dragon Balls do not scatter across Earth, they blast across the entire universe, turning the next search into a matter of pure luck. If they are not collected and returned to their original planet within a year, that planet absorbs massive negative energy and violently explodes. In terms of appearance, this dragon dwarfs both Shenron and Porunga. If Porunga is already several times larger than Shenron, Ultimate Shenron is colossal, roughly equal to both combined. His enormous head alone can overshadow the entire Kami's lookout. Instead of the usual whiskers near the nose, he has a thick structure under his chin that looks like a beard but is actually a set of massive spike-like horns. Combined with his deep crimson skin, the dragon gives off the terrifying impression of a being permanently filled with rage. This dragon constantly smokes, producing thick black clouds that match his intense attitude. Unlike the polite nature of the Namekian dragon Purunga, this bloke is aggressive, trash-talking, and incredibly intimidating. He acts like the absolute boss of the universe, smoking a giant cigar and blowing harsh smoke straight into the faces of the people who summoned him. He even mocks their wishes, laughing at how pathetic they are, carrying the arrogant attitude of "I grant wishes only if I feel like it, otherwise, sod off." This creature looks bizarre as well, a gecko-like face, dark blue skin, massive bat wings, a heavy beak, and multiple sharp horns. The dragon was born from the overwhelming negative energy created when humanity abused the traditional dragon balls tied to Shenron for selfish desires. After dissolving into nothingness, that corruption split into 7 powerful shadow dragons, each representing one of the 7 tainted dragon balls. Among them, 2 are especially notable. The first is Oceanus Shenron, who was spawned from the infamous wish made by Oolong for a pair of knickers, ironically forcing her to wear a ridiculous hat shaped exactly like those underwear. The second is Nuva Shenron, widely considered the most noble among the shadow dragons, even though the wish that created him originally came from a villain with purely wicked intentions. Now, introducing Turombo, who is absolutely the most unique 2-orb dragon in the entire canon franchise, straight out of the Serial Planet. He was completely crafted by the native Namekians residing on this specific planet over 500 years ago. Back then, he was exclusively summoned during highly sacred rituals heavily dedicated to genuinely honoring the absolute bravest warriors. You truly have to admire him, since his appearance massively resembles a majestic axolotl, heavily decorated with rows of sharp fins on his head and completely wrapped around his incredibly agile body, making him naturally move perfectly like an inchworm. Rumor heavily implies that he absolutely refuses to grant any intensely selfish wishes, but in absolute reality, he remains completely neutral. Whoever heavily makes a wish gets exactly what they genuinely desire, regardless of how utterly dark the wish actually is. Deep down, this absolute dragon is incredibly gentle, highly polite, and extremely patient. He lives a deeply moral life, softly using his tail to casually offer massive wisdom and guidance. He is completely willing to calmly sit down with the native to deeply explain things if the wish is utterly illogical. He heavily analyzes the absolute situation and practically suggests a vastly superior, highly optimal wish specifically suited for the user. If this were literally any other dragon, they would have violently looked at their watch, cursed you out, and aggressively rushed the bloke making the wish instantly. Now heavily entering the absolute darkness is Dark Shenron. This incredibly massive beast boasts a scaled body perfectly matching the Namekian unit, but probably due to his completely poor lifestyle and zero gym routine, his physical form is nowhere near as shredded as Purunga. Instead, he possesses an absolutely massive, flabby belly that literally no one can physically compare to. This heavily intimidating bloke entirely stands out from the remaining dragon squad with his purely wicked aura, completely pitch black skin, and a highly fierce crimson-red mane that massively resembles a bloody lion. He is probably an absolute expert at getting violently betrayed, considering his body is heavily covered in immensely sharp horns. Even his chin perfectly has a massive bloody horn. The magical orbs of this absolute beast are also incredibly unique, flawlessly featuring a highly vibrant red core deeply embedded with completely pitch black stars. Whenever he has absolutely no tasks to do, the beast is heavily transported across the entire space-time continuum, constantly fusing with incredibly dark villains to massively boost their completely broken power levels. Just a single, highly solitary wish from this intensely overpowered dragon is totally sufficient to perfectly create absolute chaos. This bloke aggressively smokes cigarettes without ever needing to deeply accumulate negative energy, heavily turning the sky into a massive dark blue void, practically simulating a completely brutal earthquake for absolutely no reason. However, he is heavily constrained by some incredibly massive flaws, which are absolute negative points, but his massively positive points are also quite genuinely abundant. Once he totally activates his utterly supreme power, simply fully manifesting his absolute presence severely causes the surrounding space and time to be violently distorted. Exactly like heavily lagging in a broken bloody video game, this absolute unit brutally dominated Super Saiyan 3 Goku with merely one single, heavily overpowered strike. Next up is Super Shenron. the absolute divine beast of the franchise and arguably the most overpowered entity in the canon of Dragon Ball Super. This legendary dragon is summoned by gathering the 7 Super Dragon Balls, each one the size of an entire planet. Simply locating and transporting these colossal orbs is already an impossible task, especially since they are scattered across both Universe 6 and Universe 7. Moving them even requires forcing the orbs through the barrier between universes. To summon the dragon, the caller must also speak the complex language of the gods. When Super Shenron finally appears, his scale is utterly absurd, far beyond dragons like Shenron or Purunga. During the climax of the Tournament of Power, he even shrank his colossal form just to interact with the tiny being standing below. According to Beerus, that convenient ability to reduce his size came from an ancient wish made long ago. The true creator of the Super Dragon Balls remains mysterious. The only name known is Zalama, the dragon god who forged them in the divine year 41 of the divine calendar. Many fans speculate he might be an ancient Namekian, while some versions hint that he could be the ultimate dragon himself. Rumors even suggest that he exists alongside Grand Zeno, with Zeno representing destruction while Zalama embodies creation when summoned. Super Shenron appears as a radiant golden dragon with metallic scales, enormous horns, winged arms, and a smooth face without whiskers. His immense presence dominates everything around him, yet despite this overwhelming power, he remains completely neutral. He does not judge wishes or lecture anyone. Whoever makes the wish receives it instantly. This impartial nature allowed Zamasu to exploit the dragon's power, using it to swap bodies with Goku. Because of that limitless wish-granting ability, Super Shenron stands as the most broken divine entity ever seen in Universe 7.